Good afternoon. We are the Choi Choi Revolution Consulting Company, and we're here to talk about Acme, some of their problems, how we can fix them. The situation at Acme is pretty much caused by inefficiency. Inefficiency in inventory management, inefficiency in operational setup, just plain inefficiency. This has caused a number of problems, but the most pertinent problem to our situation is the cash flow. Inventory levels are way too high and our cash flow is tied up. To analyze the situation, we did a SWOT analysis to see what's going on with the company. As you can look behind me and see here, the company has many strengths. They've been around for 50 years. They know what they're doing. They also have many weaknesses. They can become strengths if careful action is taken to implement the right decisions and changes that are necessary. Opportunities to grow in the industry and for Acme are countless, but the contingency is this needs to happen now. Critical action needs to be taken by management right now to ensure the future success of Acme. I'm going to turn the time over to Steve, who's going to talk about some of the problems.
All right, guys. Well, action needs to be taken now because these problems are pretty serious. And the top of the list, you all know it. Excessive inventory. You have excessive inventory, this ties up cash flow, plain and simple. Now, why do they have excessive inventory? Well, the first reason I think is a strategic error. Consider for a moment it takes 6 to 8 months to turn over the extrusion material. Why would Acme keep so much? Well, the reason is because by keeping everything imaginably sellable on hand, they show a small increase in profitability. But what's the cost? A huge decrease in cash flow. Not good right now. Second cause, enormous supplier lead times. 8 to 12 weeks, not good. This reduces efficiency, increases variability for both Acme and its suppliers and their orders. Third, we have non-strategic purchasing processes with an inefficient management structure. Acme is reacting to customers, but there's no forecasting. There's no forethought in the purchasing process. There's repetition and red tape. It results in human error, and it results in wasted man hours. Now, it's unclear in terms of waste management whether they are recycling their scraps. If they're not, they should be. Obviously, sustainability is clutch. Fourth, they're working on implementing an ERP and an Excel model development. Fantastic. Problem is, there is no involvement from the branch inventory specialists in this process. There's no programs to expedite the implementation. For this to work, we need to open up our communication channels. So, Dave, I'm going to turn it back to you. What kind of solutions do we have?
All right, let's talk about solutions. The first thing that needs to happen is complete inventory audit. We need to use ABC analysis, as was described before. We need to prioritize what items have a high turnover rate, what items have a low turnover rate. We need to stock the things that are constantly coming in and going out, and we need to quit stocking things that are just sitting on our shelf, tying up our cash flow. In conjunction with that, we need to really look at collections. We don't know the status of the AR, but we need to increase our AR efforts if we want to free up cash flow. We'd like to propose at this time a corporate restructuring. The first thing that we'd like to do is centralize purchasing. We have a big corporation. We have $200 million in sales. We need to use our purchasing power, centralized, to get the best rates we can and to be as efficient as possible. Like we said, the problem is efficiency. We have 6 branches. The 3 smaller branches rely heavily on the larger branches, and we'd like to propose eliminating the small branch managers and just using the large branch managers to oversee 3 new divisions that separate the country into thirds. Finally, we'd like to eliminate the transfer costs between the divisions by segmenting the market into thirds. As we centralize the corporate, we feel that we can make better relationships with our vendors. We want to get involved in hedging. The price of metal is going up. Everyone in the industry knows this, and we think Acme can be proactive. They need to set contracts with their vendors to buy in the future at the rates of today. If they do that, they'll have all sorts of benefits. They'll have cheaper costs in the future. and they'll have relationships built with their vendors to ensure that they have sustained growth. We'd also like to suggest that they implement vendor managed inventory so they can reduce cash flow, have inventory readily on hand without paying for it. I'm going to turn the time over to Steve now to conclude. Thank you.
Guys, one thing I always wonder about these crazy solutions, hedging and whatnot. What would make the supplier do it? Well, you have to consider for a moment. If we are having regular orders, what's going to happen? They're going to be able to produce on their downtime. They're going to know exactly what to produce, and efficiency is going to go up for the supplier too. That's a good reason to give us a better price. Now, in a quick conclusion, a little philosophical note, I think the biggest problem that's happened here is Acme fell a little bit behind the times. They stopped looking, what can we do to improve the process? And I would say, throw a little Kaizen into the mission statement here. If every employee and manager improves things constantly, that's good. Thank you, guys.